Rain blurred the neon lights of downtown Chicago as Ava Morgan pressed her blazer sleeve against the taxi window, watching cars splash past her like indifference made visible. She'd just finished a 14-hour day. Her startup had closed its first $1 million contract. She wanted a ride home, nothing more. She stepped toward the luxury dealership's pickup zone, phone in hand. "Excuse me, I ordered my car 15 minutes ago." The valet didn't look up. "Ma'am, customers wait inside." "I am a customer." His smirk was small, practiced. "We don't service test drives after 6. The real buyers come earlier." Her jaw tightened. The rain slicked her hair against her face. Behind him, a white man in gym shorts tossed his keys. "Evening, Mr. Daniels. BMW ready in 5. Ava blinked. "I ordered a black E-Class and I have the confirmation email." The valet's tone cut, soft and cruel. "Ma'am, maybe try the used lot across the street." The words hit harder than she expected. Around her, a couple of employees glanced, then looked away. Silence sealed the moment, corporate, polished, racist. Ava's breath trembled. "Do you have any idea who you're talking to?" He laughed lightly. "Yeah, someone who doesn't belong here." Something inside her snapped, not rage. Something colder. Calculation. She turned, heels cutting through puddles, the dealership's lights reflecting on the wet concrete like a stage set for humiliation. In her mind, a single thought crystallized. If they won't sell to me, I'll buy the place they work for. Behind her, the valet called out, "Hey, don't forget your umbrella." She didn't turn. The sound of her heels faded into the rain, and so did any trace of mercy. Rain followed Ava home like an accusation. Her apartment overlooked the river. Glass walls, chrome counters, everything she'd worked for. Yet the night pressed against her windows like a bruise she couldn't scrub off. "Alexa, lights 50%, she murmured. The voice obeyed. Dim glow, soft hum of the city below. She dropped her keys on marble, peeled off her soaked blazer and stared at her reflection. Designer suit, trembling hands. The valet's voice replayed, venom dressed in civility. "Maybe try the used lot across the street." Ava's breath stuttered. She was used to bias, in meetings, in micro-smiles, but this had been naked. Public. Her phone buzzed. Marcus calling. She let it ring twice before answering. "Hey, what's wrong with your voice?" "Nothing. You sound like you swallowed glass," she exhaled. "They wouldn't give me the car." "Who?" "The dealership." A pause. "Because you're black." She didn't answer. Marcus sighed, a sound halfway between anger and exhaustion. "You need to tell me everything." "I'm not doing this again, Marcus." "Ava, I just want to forget it." He went quiet. Then, "You don't get to forget." "You're not allowed to forget." She turned toward the window. The city lights warped through raindrops. "You think I don't know that?" "Then say it." Out loud. She bit her lip until she tasted blood. "They looked at me like I was trespassing in success." Marcus's voice softened. "You've been trespassing your whole damn career. You just didn't notice the signs anymore." A silence stretched between them. "I'll write about it," he said. "No. You can't hide from it, Ava. I can't risk my company. They'll say I'm playing the victim." "Investors pull out fast when black women get political." Marcus's laugh was bitter. "You are political just by existing where they don't want you." She sat, elbows on knees. "You think that helps?" "I think truth helps. Even when it burns." She wanted to tell him to stop, but her throat locked. Instead, she whispered, "He called me ma'am like it was an insult." Marcus didn't respond for a long moment. Then softly, "What are you going to do?" She stared at her reflection again, tired eyes, jaw like steel. "I don't know yet, but I won't stay small." Her voice cracked on the last word. Outside, thunder rolled across the river, rattling the glass. The stain of rain hadn't faded, it had deepened, etched into her reflection. Somewhere beneath it, something fierce was beginning to move. Ava's phone rang the next morning before she'd even finished her coffee. The number flashed unfamiliar. Corporate tone, area code 312. She already knew what it was. She answered. "This is Ava Morgan." A man's voice, syrup-thick with false warmth. "Good morning, Ms. Morgan. This is Kyle Anderson, Customer Relations Director for Royal Motors Chicago. We wanted to reach out about, last night's incident." Ava said nothing. Steam curled from her mug. He continued, tone rehearsed. "First, let me extend our sincerest apologies for any misunderstanding." Our valet staff occasionally misinterpret company policy, and we regret any discomfort caused. Misinterpret, Ava repeated. He refused me service. Well, ma'am, that's certainly unfortunate, and I can assure you it doesn't reflect the values of Royal Motors. What are your values, Kyle? A pause, paper rustled. Customer satisfaction, diversity, inclusion. Her lips curved, humorless. You read that off a brochure? He chuckled softly, ignoring the barb. I'd like to offer you a complimentary car detailing and a weekend rental to make up for the inconvenience. Inconvenience? Yes, ma'am. Ava cut him off. You called because you're afraid I'll talk. He hesitated, then recovered. We just want to make sure our customers feel valued. Her voice sharpened. You didn't even ask what happened. You came with a script. There was a click, the sound of someone joining the line. A woman's voice, higher-pitched, PR bright. Ms. Morgan, this is Janine from Public Affairs. We're all deeply sorry, and we'd love to have you back at the dealership. Our general manager would personally like to hand you the keys to any vehicle you're interested in. Ava's laugh was low, disbelieving. You're not fixing this. You're cleaning it up. Ma'am, that's not our intention. You've already chosen your intention. Silence. Then Janine's smile returned in her tone. Well, we do hope this experience hasn't soured your relationship with Royal Motors. It has. Understood. We'll note that. Thank you for your time. The call clicked off. Ava set the phone down, staring at the ripples in her untouched coffee. Her assistant Clara stepped in quietly. Morning. Investor call at 10. Are you all right? Ava nodded without looking up. Fine. You sure? I said I'm fine. Clara froze, then retreated. The door clicked shut. Ava exhaled. Her phone buzzed again. Marcus. She let it ring once before picking up. You got the call, didn't you? He said. She didn't answer. They're trying to buy silence with courtesy. Classic move. They can't buy what I haven't sold, she murmured. You should let me record this, he pressed. We could expose how these apologies work. The PR machine, the legal buffer, all of it. No. Ava, I'm not your story. He sighed. You think staying quiet protects you? You're protecting them. She turned toward the window, sunlight slicing through the blinds like interrogation light. You don't understand how fast power shifts when they label you difficult. I understand they already have. You just don't know it yet. Ava rubbed her temple. If this leaks, I lose investor confidence. One headline, Black CEO accuses dealership of racism, and my company's worth plummets. And what's your silence worth? Marcus shot back. She didn't reply. The only sound was her breath, steady and hard. He lowered his tone. You think these people respect silence? They count on it. Ava's hand trembled slightly as she lifted her cup. You always want a war. I want truth. Truth doesn't keep the lights on. Maybe not. But lies sure burn brighter before they go out. The line went quiet. She finally said, If I ever speak, it won't be through your paper. It'll be through ownership. Marcus's voice dropped. Ownership doesn't cleanse what they did. No, she said softly. But it changes who writes the script. She hung up. For a moment, the apartment hummed with the faint sound of the city. Cars, sirens, the pulse of indifference. Ava stared at her reflection in the glass again. Faint, warped by light. Her phone buzzed one last time in an email notification. Subject: Follow-up from Royal Motors. Confidential settlement discussion. Her jaw tightened. She didn't open it. Instead, she closed the laptop, stood, and whispered to herself. Words too low for anyone to hear. Never again. Outside, morning light hit the glass tower across from her, spotless, gleaming. But no polish could hide what was beneath the stain. The boardroom smelled of espresso and ambition. Polished wood, glass table, skyline view. Ava sat at the head, posture flawless, voice calm. Her team waited for her to begin, their screens lit with quarterly numbers and muted impatience. Before we start, she said, I want to address something off the record. Heads turned. The CFO, a graying man in a perfect navy suit, raised a brow. Something wrong, Ava? She kept her voice even. A situation occurred last week. At Royal Motors. A staff member refused to serve me, explicitly. A murmur. Fingers paused mid-typing. I've received their apology, she continued. It was rehearsed. It wasn't accountability. It was containment. The head of marketing, a thin woman named Claire, smiled awkwardly. I'm sorry that happened, Ava. But, maybe it's best to keep personal incidents separate from the business agenda? Personal? Ava repeated. You think public humiliation stops being relevant when the cameras turn off? Claire shifted in her chair. I just mean, we have to be careful. Investors react unpredictably to controversy. I am the controversy, Ava said quietly. The CFO cleared his throat. No one's questioning your experience, Ava, but we have a fiduciary duty. Let's focus on the merger projections. She stared at him. You're suggesting silence because it protects capital. He didn't flinch. It protects stability. Across the table, someone muttered, It's not worth the fight. Ava's hand tightened on her pen. Not worth whose fight? No one answered. The silence became a verdict. Her assistant, Clara, looked down at her tablet, face pale. The projector hummed to life, throwing numbers on the wall. Profit, growth, performance. Everything measurable except dignity. Ava leaned back, voice lower. You want projections? Here's one. The next black woman who walks into a dealership like that will be treated exactly the same way, because people like us keep pretending neutrality isn't complicity. The CFO's jaw flexed. You're being emotional. Ava's laugh was short, cutting. That's the oldest trick. Dismiss a woman's anger by calling it emotion. Please, Ava, Claire tried again. We're on your side. We just don't want... You're not on my side, Ava said, voice steady. You're on the side that stays comfortable. The room froze. Someone near the end whispered, We should probably move on. Ava stood, gathering her papers. You already have. She walked toward the door. Her heels struck the marble, deliberate, echoing. As the door closed behind her, muted conversation resumed, relieved and hushed. In the hallway, Ava stopped. Through the glass wall, she could still see them, her own executives, laughing nervously, rearranging slides, pretending her words hadn't happened. The company she'd built didn't feel like hers anymore. It felt rented, like the dealership, temporary until revoked. She pressed her hand against the cool glass of the corridor. For a second, her reflection overlapped theirs, the illusion of unity. Then she turned away. Back in her office, she opened her laptop. A message blinked on the screen, from Marcus. Subject, still waiting for you to tell the world. She stared at it for a long time, then closed the window without replying. Outside, the city stretched, indifferent and gleaming. Ava whispered to the empty air. You can't reform what's built on exclusion. You can only outgrow it. She looked down at her trembling hands. Not fear, decision. The first fracture had appeared inside her own walls, and once glass cracks, it never looks the same again. Marcus's office smelled like coffee, ink, and tension. 2 monitors glowed in the half-light, one filled with emails from editors, the other with his unfinished headline, The Invisible Line, Racism Behind Luxury Counters. He leaned back in his chair, rereading the draft. No names, no identifiers, just patterns, incidents buried in Yelp reviews, quiet HR complaints, unrecorded refusals. All the same tone, the same coded language. Policy, misunderstanding, security concern. He typed faster. For some, luxury is access. For others, it's permission denied. Again and again, the story begins the same way. A black customer, a high-end dealership, a sudden shift in tone. His phone buzzed. Ava. He hesitated before answering. You're writing it, aren't you? Her voice was quiet but not calm. I'm writing about the system, not about you. You are writing about me. Marcus. Maybe. But I'm also writing about every other person who walked into those showrooms and got told they didn't belong. You're playing with fire. He rubbed his forehead. Fire's the only thing that makes people look up. Ava's silence was long, heavy. Then, when it goes live, don't call me. He closed his eyes. You'll thank me someday. She hung up. Marcus turned back to the screen, jaw set. He hit send. Within 12 hours, the article was live. Within 24, it was everywhere. The next morning, Ava's phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Mentions, messages, pings. She sat at her kitchen counter, robe wrapped tight, coffee untouched. Her assistant called first. Ava, are you seeing this? That article, I've seen it. It's trending. People are tagging your company. I said I've seen it. Clara, the television filled the silence. An investigative report exposing alleged racial bias across luxury car dealerships is gaining viral traction. Ava muted it. Her inbox exploded, some congratulating her courage, others accusing her of playing the race card. Then came the call. Unknown number. Corporate tone. Ms. Morgan, this is Greg Hanley, Regional Director of Royal Motors. She said nothing. He continued, voice thin, clipped. We're disappointed to see the false allegations circulating online. We trust you'll clarify that you were not personally involved. Her pulse ticked faster. You mean deny it. We mean correct it. For everyone's benefit, and if I don't? His pause was long. Then it becomes a legal matter. Ava laughed, once sharp. Threats won't erase the truth. He didn't respond. The line went dead. Marcus called again that evening. She let it ring. Then another call. Her investor, Mr. Layton. Ava, we need to manage optics, he said. You're being linked to this article. People are nervous. The market doesn't like controversy. I didn't write it. Doesn't matter. Perception is reality. You should consider a public statement distancing yourself. Her tone was level. So I'm supposed to deny an experience that happened to protect people who didn't protect me. I'm telling you what's practical. I'm done being practical, he exhaled, frustrated. You're letting emotion drive you. Emotion built this company, she said, then ended the call. Night came. The city lights blinked across the river. Bright, distant, uncaring. Marcus finally texted her. It's working. They're scrambling. Ava typed back, then deleted her response before sending. She went out to the balcony instead. Wind pressed against her. For the first time, she didn't feel like she was standing in her own victory, only in the aftermath of someone else's storm. Her phone vibrated again. A headline alert. Luxury chain faces boycott after bias report. Anonymous source confirms internal scandal. She stared at it. Expression unreadable, she whispered. You wanted the world to see. Now it's watching. Below, traffic moved like veins through the city, fast, merciless, alive. For the first time, she didn't feel ahead of it. She felt surrounded, the truth was out, but it had her name written between the lines. By morning, the world had teeth. Ava woke to the sound of her phone buzzing nonstop. Twitter notifications, emails, calls, her name and hashtags she hadn't written. Entitled CEO, false accusations, luxury race hoax. The storm had arrived. She scrolled through one tweet, her face on a screenshot from an old interview. Diversity is my brand. The caption beneath read, maybe she should stick to victimhood instead of business. She locked the screen, throat tight. The noise wasn't random, it was coordinated. An email pinged. Subject, cease and desist, Royal Motors Legal Counsel. She opened it. The dealership denies all allegations and will pursue legal recourse against defamation. Her fingers trembled. The words looked clean, professional, with sterilized malice, then the phone rang again. Marcus. You've seen it, he said, voice already strained. They're coming for me. Marcus, I told you they would, her voice cracked. You didn't tell me it would happen this fast. Power protects itself fast. Ava paced the room, blinds drawn tight. They turned me into a headline I never wrote. They're scared. That's all this is. They're winning. He paused. Not yet, Ava stopped. I have investors calling. Clients backing out of meetings. Do you know what that feels like? Yeah, he said. It feels like exposure. And it's what they wanted you to fear most. She sat on the edge of her couch, staring at the floor. I'm not built for this kind of war. Yes, you are, Marcus said. You just thought you'd fight it in boardrooms instead of battlefields. She said nothing. On the muted TV, a news anchor was reading a statement from Royal Motors. We categorically deny the fabricated claims circulating online. Behind the anchor, her photo flashed, Ava whispered. They used my silence to write my guilt. Marcus's tone softened. Then take it back, she closed her eyes. You don't understand the cost, I do. I've watched you pay it since college, she didn't reply. The line went quiet except for her breath. Stay low for now, he said finally. Let the noise burn out. We'll move next when they think it's over. Move how? You'll see. He hung up. Ava stood still for a long time, staring out the window. Outside, photographers were already gathering near her building. Flashbulbs burst occasionally, reflected in the glass like lightning. That night, she met Clara in the office after hours. Only one lamp burned. Clara's face was pale. They're saying you lied for attention. I know. They're saying Marcus fabricated quotes. I know that too. Is it true what they're threatening? The lawsuit? Ava nodded slowly. They sent the papers this morning. They're suing both of us for defamation. Clara gasped. Can they win? Ava gave a faint smile. They can afford better lawyers. She turned toward the window. The skyline shimmered. Perfect, untouchable. Clara whispered, You could make a statement. Clarify that you didn't authorize the article. And leave Marcus alone in the fire? Clara hesitated. He'd survive. Ava looked over her shoulder. That's not the point. Silence. Clara finally said, What are you going to do? Ava stared at her reflection in the glass, faint and fractured. Endure. Hours later, she sat alone in her apartment. The glow from her laptop washed her face in cold light. She opened the legal notice again, scrolling to the final paragraph. Any public comments by Ms. Morgan will be considered additional evidence of malicious intent. She laughed under her breath. Malicious intent. The irony tasted metallic. Then she noticed something new in her inbox. A message with no subject line, sent from an unlisted address. She opened it. I used to work for Royal Motors. I saw what they did to you. I have proof. Ava froze. Below the message were attachments. Screenshots of internal emails. Photos of staff messages mocking her. One line highlighted. We can't have her kind representing our brand image. Her pulse hammered. The subject line of her reply was simple. Who are you? But before she could send it, a new thought surfaced, cold and clear. They had fired the first shot. Now she had evidence. The counterattack had begun. The email came from a burner account. ShadowWitnessProtonMail.com, no name. No phone number. Just an attached folder labeled proof. Ava didn't open it right away. She printed the email, locked the hard copy in a desk drawer, and sat in silence for a full minute, staring at the cursor blinking on the screen. Then she dialed Marcus. He picked up on the first ring. Talk to me. I think someone from inside reached out. Inside the dealership? Yes, they sent evidence. What kind? Internal messages, photos, racist slurs in private group chats. Employees mocking my complaint. Marcus's tone shifted. Sharp. Alive. Send it? No, she said. Not yet. Why not? I don't know who they are. Could be bait. You think they'd risk falsifying evidence? They've already risked my career. He went silent for a moment. Then, if it's real, it's the crack in their wall. We just need to pry it open. The next evening, she met the whistleblower in a quiet diner 2 blocks from the courthouse. The woman was young, maybe mid-20s, wearing a hood and avoiding eye contact. Call me Aaron, she said. Ava nodded. You worked there? 2 years. Sales assistant. Quit last week after HR ignored me for the 3rd time. Why contact me? Aaron's hands shook around her coffee cup. Because I watched them laugh about it. After that night, they were passing your photo around on the staff thread, saying stuff like maybe she thought she owned the place. Ava's jaw clenched. Aaron slid a flash drive across the table. I copied everything before I left. Emails, chat logs, internal memos. You'll want to see the one from the regional manager. What does it say? That they were told to vet customers who look out of place. Ava's breath caught. You're sure? I saw it myself. The diner lights buzzed softly overhead. The hum of a refrigerator filled the silence between them. Ava said quietly, You know they'll come after you if this goes public. Aaron's eyes flicked up. They already did. They blacklisted me. No dealership will hire me now, so I don't have much left to lose. Ava studied her face, nervous but resolute. You understand what this means? Aaron nodded. It means someone needs to stop them. Ava exhaled. Then we do it right. No leaks, no social media. Legal channels only. Aaron smiled faintly. You sound like someone planning a war. I'm planning survival. That night, Ava and Marcus met in his apartment. The flash drive sat between them on the table, next to an empty pizza box and 3 untouched cups of coffee. Marcus inserted it into his laptop. Files filled the screen. Dozens of messages. Ava leaned closer. One email read, Don't let PR overreact. She's just another corporate diversity token. Keep calm and spin the narrative. Her stomach turned. Marcus scrolled further. Photos, meeting notes, an internal slide titled Customer Risk Profiling. Jesus, he muttered. This isn't bias. This is policy, Ava whispered. They wrote it down. They always do, Marcus said. They just think no one will see it. He closed the laptop and looked at her. We take this to the Attorney General's office. With Aaron's testimony, it's airtight. Ava shook her head. Not yet. We go to the press and the authorities together. If we give the system time, they'll bury it under procedure. He smirked slightly. That's the Ava I know. She stared out the window, voice low. I don't want vengeance, Marcus. I want exposure so big they can't hide behind apologies anymore. He nodded. Then let's make it loud enough to echo. Outside, the city glowed against the dark. Somewhere inside that light, her face was still trending. But soon, the truth would trend louder. For the first time since the rain-soaked night at the dealership, Ava felt the balance shift, not victory, not yet, but power, rediscovered in the shadows. The courtroom smelled of varnish and tension. Rows of polished benches, silent spectators, the faint buzz of fluorescent lights overhead. Cameras weren't allowed, but the press still filled every inch of space. Ava sat at the plaintiff's table beside her attorney, her spine straight, her palms flat on the cool wood. Across from her, the defense team looked immaculate, dark suits, corporate calm. At their center sat Greg Hanley, regional director of Royal Motors, his posture arrogant, his smile tight. The judge entered. All rise. Wood creaked as everyone stood. Ava's attorney, a composed black woman named Lillian Tate, leaned close. Remember, they'll try to provoke emotion. Don't give them what they want. Give them facts. Ava nodded once. The trial began. Day 1. Opening fire. The defense spoke first. Their lead counsel, a tall man with silver hair and expensive confidence, walked slowly before the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a story of racism, he began. This is a story of misunderstanding, of a businesswoman overwhelmed by her own perception, mistaking inconvenience for discrimination. A ripple of murmurs passed through the courtroom. He continued, voice steady. Our staff followed standard procedure. Ms. Morgan arrived after hours, demanded service, and when politely declined, decided to cry injustice. Ava felt her stomach tighten. He turned toward her. Sometimes ambition can distort reality. Lillian's hand brushed Ava's wrist, grounding her. When the defense sat down, Lillian rose, calm as a still lake. Your Honor, my client is not here because of emotion. She's here because of evidence. She turned to the jury. Emails, chats, policies written in coded language but clear intent, instructions to vet customers who look out of place. Her voice sharpened. Ask yourself, who decides what out of place looks like? The room went silent. Day 2. The whistleblower Aaron sat in the witness box, pale but steady. Her hands clutched a paper tissue as Lillian guided her through testimony. I worked at Royal Motors for 2 years, she said. We were told to watch certain customers more closely. They didn't say black, but they said non-traditional buyers. Everyone knew what it meant. The defense objected. Speculation. Sustained, the judge said. Lillian adjusted. You witnessed discussions about Ms. Morgan? Aaron nodded. Yes. After she left, one of the managers said, we dodged a bullet. People like her always pull the race card. A gasp ran through the courtroom. The defense rose sharply. Hearsay. Lillian held up a printed email. Then let's not rely on hearsay. Let's rely on their own words. She handed it to the clerk. The judge read it silently, then frowned. Admitted into evidence. The jury's eyes flicked to Ava. Day 3. The crossfire Ava took the stand. She adjusted the microphone. The room held its breath. Lillian began. Ms. Morgan, could you describe what happened that night? Ava did, calmly, precisely. Every word carried the weight of restraint. He didn't look at me. He looked through me. Then he told me to try the used lot across the street. Did you respond? I asked if he knew who I was. And his answer? He said, someone who doesn't belong here. A silence heavy enough to bend the air followed. When the defense began their cross-examination, the silver-haired lawyer smiled faintly. Ms. Morgan, you're a successful CEO, correct? Yes. You manage multi-million-dollar contracts? Yes. So you understand how public image matters. Could it be that your recollection of this event has been amplified by perception? Ava leaned forward. You mean, did I imagine it? He smirked. Let's just say a memory can be subjective. Her gaze didn't waver. Maybe, but racism isn't subjective. It's systematic. It's when policy and perception shake hands. He faltered just for a second, then quieter he said, "You sound angry." "I am," she replied, "because you think anger invalidates truth." No one moved. Even the judge's gavel hesitated mid-air. Day 4. The breaking point. By the final day, Royal Motors' polished image had begun to crack. Screenshots of their internal chats had gone viral after being admitted into evidence. The public waited outside the courthouse chanting Ava's name. The defense requested settlement mid-trial. Ava refused. Lillian's closing argument echoed through the courtroom. Prejudice doesn't always wear a hood or shout slurs. Sometimes it smiles behind a desk and calls bias policy. Today, that mask came off. She turned to the jury. "You cannot fix what you won't name." "Name it." The jury deliberated for 6 hours. When they returned, the foreman stood. "We find in favor of the plaintiff, Ava Morgan." A single exhale, part relief, part disbelief, filled the room. Ava closed her eyes. For the first time in months, the air didn't feel heavy, but she knew victory wasn't peace. It was exposure. And exposure always came with a cost. Across the room, Greg Hanley's expression had collapsed into something hollow. His empire, the polished, expensive, had cracked under its own reflection. Ava stood slowly, her hand trembling only once as she gathered her papers. Through the glass doors of the courthouse, cameras flashed like lightning again. Only this time she walked toward them unflinching. The rain had stopped just before dawn. The city looked rinsed, steel and glass gleaming under a hesitant sunrise. Ava stood before the dealership's front doors again, the same place where months earlier she'd been told to try the used lot across the street. This time, the glass doors opened automatically. Inside, the air smelled of new paint and disinfectant, the scent of rebranding. A new sign hung above the reception desk, Morgan Motors. She walked slowly through the lobby, heels tapping against the marble floor that once reflected her humiliation. The same space, but unrecognizable, polished, quiet, free of sneers. Behind her, a staff of 20 waited, freshly hired, mostly young. The receptionist, a nervous girl with braids and bright eyes, adjusted her name tag. "Good morning, Miss Morgan," she said. Ava paused, meeting her gaze. "Good morning." "Call me Ava." The girl smiled, hesitant, relieved. In her office upstairs, papers lay waiting on the desk. The final acquisition documents. The official transfer of ownership. The dealership that had rejected her now belonged to her outright. Lillian arrived minutes later, rain still dripping from her umbrella. "It's done," she said. "The sale cleared. Hanley resigned yesterday. Headquarters signed off." Ava nodded. "He'll walk away rich." "Yes," Lillian replied, "but discredited. His name's gone from every board." Ava looked out the window at the city where commuters moved like a current. "Justice never feels clean," she said. "Just necessary." Lillian set a folder on the desk. "You can rename the entire chain. Set a new precedent. I don't want revenge. I want replacement," Ava said. Downstairs, the staff gathered for the announcement. The air buzzed with quiet expectation. Some of them had been there under Hanley's rule. Others were new, brought in under Ava's leadership initiative. She stood at the center of the room, the echo of her heels silenced by the carpet. "When I first walked into this building," she began, "I was told I didn't belong. That message wasn't new to me. I've heard it whispered in conference rooms, masked in corporate emails, wrapped in polite tone. It's how racism survives, and by being almost invisible." No one spoke. Every face watched her. But invisibility ends today. This dealership and everyone we build after it will operate on a single principle: respect before revenue. If you can't stand on that foundation, you don't belong here, no matter what color you are. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Some nodded. Others simply looked away, processing. Ava's voice softened. "You'll make mistakes. We all will. But the goal is not perfection. It's awareness. It's accountability." Applause. Hesitant at first, then swelling. Lillian clapped once quietly, then stepped back. Ava smiled. A rare, small one. Later that day, she walked through the garage bays. Mechanics worked under new lights, their coveralls marked with the new logo. A radio played softly in the corner. News coverage of the lawsuit verdict. Landmark case exposes discriminatory corporate policy. The anchor's voice said. Ava kept walking. She stopped at one of the cars, A black luxury sedan, spotless, keys in the ignition. She remembered the same model from that night, the one she'd wanted to test drive, the one she'd been denied. Her reflection glimmered across the hood, doubled and fractured by the gloss. Marcus appeared behind her, hands in pockets. "So this is how the story ends?" "It doesn't," she said. "It just stops being theirs." He smiled faintly. "You've got the empire now," she turned to face him. "Empires fall the same way they rise, and through complacency." "I won't repeat that mistake," Marcus nodded. "Then maybe you've built something that lasts." "Maybe," she said. He hesitated, then added, "You never answered my email." "I read it," she replied. "And I did what it said." He exhaled, a half laugh, half sigh. "You did more." They stood in silence, the hum of the city faint beyond the garage doors. That evening, Ava returned to her office. The lights of downtown flickered across her glass walls. Towers, billboards, passing cars. The world kept moving, uninterested in her triumph or her scars. On her desk sat the ownership folder, unsigned. Just one signature left. She opened a drawer and took out the pen she'd carried since her first business pitch. Cheap, blue plastic, the kind interns use. She clicked it open, then she hesitated. For a moment, she thought of that night again. The cold air, the locked door, the look on the man's face when he dismissed her like dust. Her hand trembled once, then steadied. She signed. The dealership was hers. The wound was not. Outside, a reporter stood at the curb as she exited the building. "Cameras flashed. Miss Morgan?" someone called. "How does it feel to own the same company that humiliated you?" She stopped, the question hanging between them like rain about to fall. Ava met the reporter's gaze. "It's not about ownership," she said. "It's about rewriting who gets to open the door." Then she walked past the cameras, into the night. The dealership lights glowed behind her, letters shining across wet pavement. Morgan Motors. For the first time, the reflection didn't look borrowed, it looked earned. The dealership's doors opened at 9 a.m. sharp. Ava arrived early, as she always did, walking through the quiet showroom where sunlight poured through the glass walls. The scent of leather, steel, and faint detergent carried the sterile calm of a space reborn. For the first time in months, she didn't feel the need to perform power. It hummed around her quietly, in the hum of the lights, the soft shuffle of employees who greeted her with steady eyes instead of practiced smiles. She crossed to the lobby window. Outside, a crowd was gathering again, but this time not reporters. Community members, students, activists, small business owners. A local youth program had reached out. They wanted to tour the dealership to see how the woman who changed everything ran her company. She didn't like the phrasing, but she understood the sentiment. Lillian entered, holding a folder. "City Hall confirmed it," she said. "Your equity program's approved. You'll be training minority hires across all 10 branches. They called it the Morgan model." Ava nodded, quiet. "Good. Let's make sure the model doesn't become mythology." Lillian smiled. "You don't celebrate much." "Celebrations for endings," Ava said. "This is maintenance." Downstairs, the youth group arrived. 10 teenagers, wide-eyed in cheap sneakers and excitement. The receptionist guided them through the lobby. A boy about 17 broke away from the group and approached Ava. "Are you the lady from the court case?" Ava turned to him. "Depends who's asking." "My mom watched it," he said quickly. "Said you made them listen. Said you didn't let them make you small." She studied his face, and sincere, unpolished, full of that dangerous thing she hadn't felt in a long time. Belief. "What's your name?" "Malik. You thinking of working in business someday, Malik?" He shrugged. "I don't know. People like me don't really own stuff." Ava looked at him for a long moment. Then she gestured toward the rows of cars gleaming under showroom lights. "Pick one." He blinked. "What? Pick one," she said. "You're going to learn how it's sold, how it's priced, how it's financed, and who profits from it. Ownership isn't a dream. It's math. It's process. Learn the process, and they can't lock you out again." Malik's eyes widened. "You're serious?" "Completely." Lillian watched from the staircase, silent. Hours later, after the group had left, Ava sat alone in her office again. The city below shimmered. A restless, endless machine. She replayed the trial, the meetings, the humiliation, the victory. None of it felt like closure. It felt like transition, the slow, grinding evolution of a woman forced to rebuild herself from anger into structure. She had won, but she was still scarred. And maybe that was the point. Healing was not erasure. It was continuation. On her desk sat an envelope, unmarked. Inside, a single sheet, a resignation letter, not hers. Greg Hanley's, no apology, no acknowledgement. Just withdrawal. The absence of accountability wrapped in formality. Ava placed it back in the drawer. "Cowardice leaves clean paper," she murmured. Then her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "They're running a story tomorrow on our From Rejection to Reform. You want to comment?" She typed back, "No comment." "Let the work speak." She set the phone down. The sun dipped, washing the city in gold and steel. Employees clocked out, lights dimmed, and the building fell quiet again. Ava walked back to the front doors and the same glass doors where everything had begun. She stood there watching the reflection, her own face, clear, unflinching, framed by her creation. For a moment, she thought of every version of herself that had stood here before. The woman locked out. The CEO doubted, the plaintiff on the stand, the owner signing papers. Each one had fought for the right to stand still in this exact light. Behind her, the automatic doors whispered open, a soft hiss of machinery and air. She turned once, glanced at the lobby, then stepped forward, out into the street, out into the noise, out into the unfinished world that still needed changing. The glass doors closed behind her, reflecting her retreating figure, not as exclusion this time, but as passage. The words above the entrance glowed in the evening light. Morgan Motors, built on respect. A small group of pedestrians stopped to look up, reading it aloud. Someone whispered, "She owns it now." Ava didn't turn back. She already knew.